Hello, everybody. Welcome into our latest live broadcast. Sorry, that intro caught me off guard there for a moment. Today, wait a minute, hold on. Let me adjust my volume. Looks like it's peaked way up there. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2, check, check, check. Let me know how that sounds. Making a few adjustments as we're getting everything moved over and still trying to keep us up and running over here. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. It is the 7th. Is today the 7th? Is that right? It's Wednesday, August 7th. Wasn't it just Monday yesterday? I guess not. I've been super busy. This is what happens when you get pulled in all these different directions. It's pretty common to lose track of what day of the week it is. Also, if you do nothing at all and you're retired, I hear the same problem occurs. So I know I sound shocked because time seems to be getting faster, but I guess the busier you get, the faster time seems to go by. And here we are. Today, we got a very special review in store for you from our friends over at Minisforum, featuring the world's first i9 Meteor Lake. Is it Meteor Lake? It's the Ultra processor. Now, the Atomman, as they call it, is a new series of computers that Minisforum has come out with, much like they've had Venus and Neptune. Well, Atomman is more extreme. So if you recall, we had that really thin, skinny, kind of a half a laptop Nook what was it called? A Nook i7 X7 or anyway, it looks like they've got an updated version of that coming out with a built-in 4070 mobile graphics card. That's for gaming. And the previous Atomman that we reviewed here last week or 2 weeks ago, that's also for gaming. This Atomman is intended for anything but gaming. However, you can add an external graphics card to it if you wanted to use it for gaming using the OCulink Port. So before I get too far into that, you'll also notice on the cover, oh, it's not on the cover. We'll look at the website. We'll see how it's spec'd out. This is all still shrink wrapped, so you're going to see a true, authentic, unscripted, unedited unboxing as we do this live. So we're going to see how it comes out of the box, what's in the box, how we update it, how it's already configured, what version of Windows it has, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to do that live today. I'm excited because we have a lot more waiting in the wings, including finishing up the Johnsbow build and a brand new build on Friday featuring the B-Gears Black Widow case. So our week is filled up and next week's pretty filled. Obviously trying to get down to the grit so we can get this stuff done and get it moved over to our new studio location, which is what I do when I'm not broadcasting over there working. So hopefully it'll be in good enough shape. It won't be done, but it'll hopefully be in good enough shape that we can start broadcasting from there in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So in the meantime, welcome in all my friends, all the members making these videos possible. We could not do this without our members. For the folks who watch the videos for free, listen, we love that you watch the videos for free. We appreciate you. If you'd like to interact with me while I'm live, that is a benefit of membership. And without the membership, you'd have no content to watch for free. So that's how the circle of life is working here on YouTube these days. And our absolute gratitude for all of our members here that make these videos possible, including our outstanding benefactors of Peter Laycock, who we call Buster, Oystein, who watches us from Norway, Peter, by the way, he's in Scotland, and our friend Frankie B in New York. Without these very generous community members, we wouldn't be able to do as much or as often. And along with all of our members here in the chat room and the members not joining us yet, we have members that are busy and can't watch us when we're live with all the time zone changes. We thank each and every one of you for your kindness, your support, your friendship, and just this amazing community that we've created. Now, from time to time, I may open the chat room up to the public. It kind of depends. Unfortunately, that group of people that comes in here with nothing to give and only things to take, some of those people are troublemakers. And unfortunately, I have no way to weed them out. It's kind of an on or off situation, and this is how I'm dealing with it. So that's where we're at currently with the state of YouTube. And I want to say thank you to the folks who have submitted super chats during today's video already, even before we started. That includes Hector Avilas with a $10 super chat, who's a new member here as well. Thank you, Hector. He says, hey, Carey, here's a spot for your early start. Thank you for your time teaching me some more new technologies. Love it. Thank you, Hector. You're here for the right reason, and we're glad to have you. Andy Kane renews his membership, now a member for 12 months. And Captain Blinsky also renewed membership as well. So thank you guys again. Without your support, we don't have a channel. So Andy says it's his 1-year anniversary. He's now been a member for 12 months. That is awesome. Thank you so much, Andy. All right. So, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Marlena. Mara is working in the background doing all the channel administration. And if you guys want to email the channel, if you go onto the channel's About page, there's an email address there. And Mara will happily address your emails. All you have to do is send them to her. I was getting too busy. I was getting buried. And so a lot of emails, unless they were critical, fell through the cracks. But Mara's on that full time. So if you ever want to reach out to the channel, be sure and hit the About page to see the email address. Okay. And if Mara wants to put our email address in the video notes for this video, she's got my okay to do that with the Showcase Create. Planet Cryos with a $2 super chat says, stay real, right on, not artificial. Artificial idiocy, artificial intelligence. Real intelligence, artificial idiocy. Real idiocy. I don't know, RI or AI? You decide. Thank you, Planet Cryos. And Douglas Burchell renews membership, now a member for 13 months, right on. Thank you, he says, for all the heat times. Heat? Well, it is hot. It is August in Phoenix. 115 is considered a nice balmy day. What a great time to pack up and move. What are you going to do? Thank you, Douglas. All right. Let's see. Very quickly in the chat room, what are people saying? Bill Garcia says hello. Easy Otter says hello. Leslie Cavins. Madman, Dark Jedi, Bull Terrier Mac, and Scott all saying hello. There's Hector and Mark Baggett. I see Doman 2000 and 3D Everything saying hello. There's also Essential Working Too Hard. Leslie Cavins, Bull 142, I'll say hello. Ron Barnish and Charles Purdy say hello. Quarryman Zero and Bjorn Nyberg say hello. Bjorn joins us from Sweden. Nick Caffrey saying hello. There's also Raj D in our chat room. Mark Leibowitz, Andy Kane, Captain Blinsky. James Carter, Christopher Horton, and of course, Douglas Burchell. Welcome in, guys. Thank you again for hanging out with us. Dan Nilsson just jumped in there, said hello. All right, today, this is a really cool machine. Now, this is, when we talk about these mini PCs, we have a whole range of mini PCs to pick from budget, entry level, basic, inexpensive, quick fix, or very low use machines or low demand machines. Something that you might give to somebody who doesn't use a computer very much, but does need one. Then you've got your sort of mid-range. That's for your average ordinary computer user that I would say likes a little more something besides the bare minimum. And then you get into your upper end business class machines, and then you get in above that to your enthusiast gaming machines. And as these levels get higher, so too the prices and the performance and complexity. Sometimes even the size of the machine has to physically get bigger to cram all of that stuff in there that the enthusiasts want. And this one, they've done something very unique. Actually, a couple of things very unique. Minisforum is not just simply buying some pre-made shell, of a machine and they're slapping their name on it, which is what some manufacturers do. Minisforum actually designs and engineers these themselves. And we've been working now with Minisforum for a few years, and I really like their build quality. And, they haven't had any of the issues some of the other mini PC manufacturers have had with regards to the operating systems being corrupted in some way. We haven't had any of these issues. They have good support. And they also oftentimes sell bare bones versions of their computers, which a lot of other manufacturers don't do. And bare bones means you're buying the computer without any storage and without any RAM. And of course, without storage, you can't have an operating system. So basically, if the way these are equipped is something that you feel like you're going to upgrade, well, then just save your money and buy it without the RAM and storage. If those are things you're planning on upgrading anyway, that lowers the cost of the machine. And when you get it, you can provide your own RAM and storage and your own operating system. Again, a lot of companies don't offer bare bones, meaning it's already pre-made. Think of it like a hamburger. You order a hamburger and it's already got all the toppings on it. It's already pre-made. But you don't want the tomatoes, or you don't want the relish or the pickles. So you get your burger, you open it up and you pick those things off. So bare bones would be, here is a plain hamburger and there is a self-service bar that you have trays of different toppings and condiments, and build it yourself. Who wouldn't want that? So Minisforum offers bare bones versions. Just know that when you get bare bones versions, they aren't going to work until you put RAM and storage in it, and then you need to provide your own operating system. Now here I use VIP CDK deals. And the reason I selected them is I have trouble knowing, and I've always been very reluctant because of a lack of information for these manufacturers or resales folks who sell these Windows and Office product keys. If they're legitimate, stolen, what are they? And nobody would answer my questions. Nobody could give me any reassurance that what they were selling was real, and or that they would back it up 100% with customer support and had very good prices. That is, until I found VIP CDK deals. This is a true story. VIP CDK deals prove to me that they are selling legitimate product keys. They have a consistently low price. The keys are guaranteed to activate. They have excellent customer service, and everything is 100% legit. Other product key sellers, I can't get any verification from any of them. I've tried, and I either get no response, or the response I get is all gibberish that doesn't satisfy my liability concerns, because I run a business. Even when I ask other content creators, how do you know what the sponsor you took on is selling is real and not stolen? And they're like, hey, it's not my problem. I'm not putting a gun to anybody's head making them buy it. They want to buy it, they can buy it. I go, yeah, but the fact that you talk about it on your show implies your endorsement. No, it doesn't. I never told anybody they should buy it. Yeah, but you're profiting every time they buy it. Yeah, but that's their choice, not mine. You have no idea how much that upset me and how many viewers completely misunderstood what the issue was. Imagine I install a stolen operating system license key into a lawyer's office, who then gets audited, from some, competing attorney, some law case trying to find a way to take them down. Imagine the liability I would have. Imagine if you as viewers buy these keys from some website, the way a lot of other content creators do that, and you have a problem with it, and I say, tough luck, you're on your own. So I want you to know, anything I promote here, I use myself in my business. It has to pass all the qualifications for legitimacy, legality, and uphold my reputation. It's not worth saving a few dollars if it's going to put me out of business. So therefore, I've been buying all my keys from VIP CDK deals. They are real. On occasion, very rarely, I've had a key that doesn't work and they resolve it like that. You just do their chat thing and it's easy. In a worst case scenario, you can't get satisfied. First of all, the odds of you having a problem are very low, but let's say you have a problem. I'm going to say, if you talk to me about it and say, well, did you make them aware of it? Give them an opportunity to correct it. If this even happens, which it probably won't. And oftentimes it doesn't go any further than that. But and I can't even tell you, extraordinarily rare, where they don't take care of you after you let them know there's a problem, you contact me directly and I'll fix it. These product keys activate at least with Windows, it'll stay activated to that motherboard forever. You must activate it within 30 days. If it does not activate, we have a problem. Ask them for help. Microsoft Office may need to be activated every time you install it. That's a Microsoft thing. If you tie it to a Microsoft account, which I don't have, you'll probably be able to keep that license on a reinstall. I haven't tested. But if you have to reinstall, you might have to enter that license, say a year from now. And that license may come up as saying it's already been used. Well, that's not a warranty issue anymore. The warranty on these license keys, because they're so highly stolen and there's so much scam, 30 days guaranteed. And once it's activated, it'll stay activated unless you change your motherboard or you do a complete reinstall and you need to reactivate Windows again. The good news is, not Windows, I'm sorry, Microsoft Office. You could buy Microsoft Office over 10 times from VIP CDK deals and still be cheaper than what Microsoft sells it for. So even if you have to buy a second key because you've made a change or because you didn't do an image backup and restore that, that's on you, right? That's part of the condition of the cheaper keys. So that's all legit. That's all the way it's supposed to work. And there's some misunderstanding with some viewers about it. But like I said, I've been working with them now for going to be going on over 2 years. And that is all I use for my license keys now. Anyway, shout out to them. And if you guys have purchased from VIP CDK deals, tell us in the chat room what your experience was. People don't have to take my word for it. Everything I promote here is guaranteed by me personally. Find another content creator who does that. All right, now, take a look. I see something about a pepper bar. Nick Capri says he's used VIP CDK deals customer service once this year. Great service. It was a problem of my own making that I solved, that they helped me solve in 10 minutes. Real story. Not making this up. This is our audience. They're free to say whatever they want to say. Let's see. Peter Lakei, there's Buster, 20-pound super chat, says, good evening, Carey and Marlena and everyone in the chat. All the best from Bonnie, Scotland, where the temperature in Edinburgh, 59 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 degrees Celsius. He just popped in to say hello and he'll catch up tomorrow. Right on. Hey, Buster, good to see you. Thanks for popping in, man. Perfect timing. Luke Greenia wants me to check my phone before we get started. Let's take a look. Oh, very nice contribution. He says, take Mara to a nice dinner. I laugh because, first of all, thank you very much. It's a very generous contribution. I appreciate you, my friend. Mara is maybe 90 pounds soaking wet. She doesn't eat anything with sugar, anything with carbs, because carbs turns into sugar. And she's vegan. And what does that leave? You know, if something has sugar alcohols in it, instead of sugar, they'll use maltitol. Oh, she's not having that. So when you filter it all down, she can eat cauliflower, broccoli, and dust. She can have all the dust she wants. She can have lettuce. I'm the opposite. I don't eat vegetables, or I'll have cucumbers. But what's funny is, of the few vegetables I eat, I like celery. She thinks celery tastes like dirty water and she won't eat it. She thinks it's disgusting. I think it's great, especially when you have some chicken wings with it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I have been poked fun of because of my finicky diet. So it's nice to be able to poke fun at somebody else. I certainly respect it. I absolutely respect whether it's involuntary or voluntary attraction or rejection to certain foods. I respect that, and I really wish other people would respect. Oh, just try it. Just try it. No, I don't want to try it. Right? Anyway, where would I take her for dinner is all I'm saying. Dinner. The Rabbit Food Store. Thank you very much, Luke. I'm just going off. Mara's not here to hit me slap me in the back of the head, so she'll have to take a number and wait her turn. Douglas Purcell mentions the farmer's market. Oh, she loves farmer's markets. There's also a vegan butcher in Las Vegas, and she's telling me, you know, we got to go to Vegas and see this vegan butcher. Vegan butcher. And there's a place in Minnesota called the Herbivorous Butcher, which is another vegan butcher. And they have duplicates of like steak and shrimp and stuff that's all vegan. None of it's real. So that's a long trip to Minnesota to go get a sandwich. But hey, maybe someday. Today's video, we're looking at the Atomman. And again, Atomman is a series. This particular Atomman is called the X7 Ti. And if we go over to Minisforum's website, let me show you what their website says about this model. You'll see it's still wrapped in plastic. I have not unsealed this at all. So our experience together, we'll enjoy together. First time unboxing. Any surprises or, I don't know, things that might exceed expectations or fall short of expectations, we'll find out together. Now, looking at the website, they advertise the Atomman as Minisforum's new high-end brand. It's committed to developing high-tech products with ultimate performance and based on strong software and hardware capabilities, exquisite product craftsmanship, and high-quality services. It meets users' expectations for innovative technology. So currently they have two sub-series of Atomman. The G series, which is the gaming genre, and then the X series, which is exploration, artificial intelligence, more business, actually more anything but gaming. Although you could game on it, the G series is focused on gaming. We already reviewed that unit, and now we're reviewing the X unit, and there will be another unit coming soon. Now, the Atomman X7 Ti has a 4-inch screen, touchscreen on the front of it. Now, initially, when I saw this, I immediately dismissed it. Because when I see these, they're usually gimmicks put on really low power N100 mini PCs. I don't know why you would use this. However, once I found out how this thing was equipped, which was probably a month after I dismissed it, my eyes popped out of my head because just look at how this is equipped. So first of all, let's just set this up with 32 gigs of RAM and a 1 terabyte SSD. There is the GPU dock you can buy for OCulink if you want to add an external graphics card, but I'm going to say no on that for now. All right, you ready for this? This is the world's first Intel Ultra 9 AI mini PC with a 4-inch touchscreen. It's an Intel Ultra 9 185H. It's Wi-Fi 7 with two 5 gig Ethernet port. 5 gig, that's a weird number, 5? So here's the thing, you might never find a 5 gig network switch. And maybe you could find a 5 gig network card, but everybody's going from basically 2.5 gig to 10 gig. But I'm guessing if they're giving you two of these 5 gigs, you can put them in SMB multi-channel and go 10 gigs. Hey, you know what? That may be content for a future video. We'll explore 1 gig versus 2.5 versus 10. And any network switch that'll do 10 should fall back to 5, 2.5, or 1. In other words, 10's the maximum. But 5, I've never seen a 5 gig switch, so I don't know who that's for. So you're either going to run this likely to your switch at 2.5 or at 1, in which case you're better off with Wi-Fi 7, faster than 1. Or run it at 10 by putting 2 cables to the RJ45. Run them in SMB3 multi-channel, and it'll be like 1 network card running at 10 gigs. So that's super, super fast. That's 10 times faster than whatever your 1 gig connection does. It's got a 1080p camera built in. Yes, it's got a camera. So if you are needing to do a Zoom meeting, or you wanted to, I don't know, Facebook message, FaceTime somebody, you don't have to get a separate webcam. The camera's built right up on the top of the unit. This will support 4 displays at the same time. It's got an HDMI port, a display port, and then it's got 2 USB 4 ports. And each one of those can go to a USB Type-C to display port out to support 2 more monitors, all simultaneously at 1080. What resolution? I think at 4K. We'll have to check that. They talk about their cooling system here, the cold wave system, phase change cooling. It's a 65 watt TDP. It does have the OCulink port. Windows Hello is sort of like how you log into your cell phone with a fingerprint or a Face ID. Because this has the camera, Face ID can work to be your Windows login, or the fingerprint sensor can work. I don't use either one of those on a PC, but because this is so portable, or if it were in an office space, that could be very convenient. So it also has a dual M.2 slots and an SD card reader. So now you can understand. You understand now why I completely misjudged this. I'm like, oh, wow, wait a minute. It's actually much more than I thought it was. So you're going to see a lot about AI processing locally on your machine. We're just getting started with AI. So with AI, we talk about trillions of operations per second. I don't know, does this tell us what its 3D performance? 5.1 gigahertz maximum CPU speed. CPU architecture. ARC graphics are built into the CPU. They do have some games on here, but I don't know if they're using these. These must be the games on the Intel ARC graphics. So it will play games. It's just, you know, you're not looking at 200 frames per second, right? And these are 3 examples of 20,000 games you can buy. So who knows what game you're playing at what setting, but if you decide to get one of these and you play games on it, I'd love to hear what you think of the results, because I don't game. This is my game. I'm playing it right now, which is exploring this new technology, figuring out how it works, fixing broken things that come in for repair, configuring networks, all that stuff for me is the best game ever. I don't pay to play those games. I get paid. Any game you can play where you get paid to play it, find a way to do that for a living is all I'm saying. There is our exploded view of a cooling fan that appears to hover over our RAM and solid state drives, which is good. And then the CPU will be on the other side of this, I think. I don't know, that kind of looks like a CPU right there. We'll have to take it apart to see. We'll get to that. Flexible touchscreen, equipped with the industry's most powerful 4-inch touchscreen, easy to use, feature-rich, supports system monitoring, performance adjustment, time display, and personalized theme switching so that you can grasp the operating status of the host in real time. And there's some examples of different display options. There's probably more than that. Quad screen display still doesn't tell us resolution, does it? OCulink port, we've talked about that. It's for an external graphics card using the dock pictured here, which Minisforum sells. Of course, you can use any OCulink dock, but I like the one from Minisforum. It's very affordable and it looks good. There's the dual 5 gig Ethernet ports we talked about earlier. We've got a slot here for 2230 size M.2. Oh, sorry, this is RAM. This is RAM. This is our M.2. We got one 2280 length and one 2230 length. Now, when it says up to 4 terabytes of storage, there is no actual storage limitation that exists today on a modern computer. When manufacturers put stuff like that up there, it often refers to the largest you can reasonably buy. Obviously, 8 terabyte drives are out. If an 8 terabyte drive will fit, it will work. There's no technical limitation, it's a physical one. And it depends how thick the chips are. The more density the chip has, the more storage. So if we wanted to put 400 terabytes in there, if that was made, we'd have a chip that's probably 3/4 of an inch thick, and it will not fit in the slot because it's too thick. That doesn't mean it wouldn't see it. So I'm not saying you could see that, but I am saying any drive available on the market today and within the next few years, no matter, like, for example, the 8 terabyte drives. Yes, you can put an 8 terabyte drive in there and it will work. It's just that when they wrote this, I don't know, maybe they're copying and pasting from older limitations, or they figure 4 terabytes is the largest anybody would reasonably buy. But if the 8 terabyte drive will fit in there, if the chips aren't too thick on the SSD, there'll be no problem with accessing it. Same if it was 16 terabytes, 32, et cetera, et cetera. So don't believe these limitations. Now, when it comes to the Sodimm, the RAM, this is DDR5. And of course, you've got 2 slots. So you're going to be limited to the maximum available size of each memory module that's sold. There's a video conferencing equipment with a 1080p HD camera that's built in. And of course, it's got microphones in it. Look at all the ports we've got on this thing. Of course, we've got the clear CMOS button, 2 USB Type A 3.2, 2 of those. We've got a USB 4 up front, and we've got a 3.5 millimeter combo audio jack for headphones, for microphone, or for a headset. Over here on the backside, we've got our barrel style, basically like a laptop power brick. 19 volts is pretty standard. 3.2 Type A USB with a USB 2. This is a good place to plug in your keyboard or mouse. Don't waste a high-speed port for your keyboard and mouse. We've got HDMI output, DisplayPort output, the 2 Ethernet ports, another USB 4. And then the last link here, it's hard to read it, but that's our OCulink port. It does have Wi-Fi 7. Of course, you need a Wi-Fi 7 router for that to work, and they're pretty pricey, but they'll get cheaper. So you're ready for the future as far as that goes. All right, so in the box, we've got our manual, our stand, an HDMI cable. We've got our power brick and power cable to the brick, and we've got the mini PC itself. So that's what's in the box. And you see it's a brand new. Nobody's reviewed it yet because I think this is not a pre-production sample. This is a retail sample. So what I show you, what you see is what you get. Kind of exciting. And if you're wondering what the prices are, Amazon does sell it at $847.99 with the 30-day returns, and you can have it delivered pretty darn quickly. Now, they don't sell the bare-bone version of this, I don't believe. You're pretty much looking at 32 gigs and 1 terabyte, which is honestly, if you're buying this high end of a computer, you're going to want that. So, but if you want the bare bones, you'll need to go directly to Minisforum, and you can pick up the bare bones for $669 on sale right now. All right, let me go back over to camera 1. There I am. And let's take a quick look over in the chat room and see what you guys are saying. Christopher Horton says, I love that it has a card reader. My side gig is photography for schools, and that's a missed feature on modern computers. Well, the problem is it a full-size card reader? If so, I'm on board with you. If it's a trans flash or a micro SD card reader, those are the same thing. I don't really see much use of it. I might as well just use the USB adapter for my full-size cards, because all my cameras, except the GoPros, use the full size. But we're going to find out. Garfield Rupe stopped in and said hello, welcome in, and good to see Garfield. Christopher Horton said it has a functional camera on the mini PC, so you can use Windows Hello with this mini. You can if you want. I don't use it, but you absolutely can. Christopher Horton says the Atomman lineup has been insane when it comes to specs, but those are just numbers, you know? And he's excited about this PC. Okay, let's get to it. Time for the good stuff. Okay, real life unboxing. Is it just going to be a bunch of parts that fall out because it got damaged in shipping? I don't think so. We did that we did that on Monday's show. That was something else entirely not related to this. Duck. What's interesting is if you throw the sleeve away, Minisforum lately has just been shipping in black boxes. It's got a serial number on it, but it doesn't identify what's in this box. So either keep the sleeve if you plan on saving the box, get a silver Sharpie like this, and we can write on it Atomman, that's 2 M's, X7 Ti. I don't know what the Ti stands for. Maybe they're inspired from NVIDIA or something. See, that silver Sharpie shows up real good on black surfaces. Stay. Here's how it's packaged. We've got a stand. That's pretty neat. Let me bring the stand up here. It's got a rubber foot. It's very grippy right here. And then it looks like 2 little posts that maybe, oh, and there's a rubber ring around it here. And then these 2 posts, and I guess this must somehow lock down in there. Let's find out. I have no idea. I have a feeling it's going to be intuitive and I won't need the directions. All right, there's the Atomman. It's a little larger than I thought, but you know what? With everything that's in it, I'm actually, when you think about it, I'm impressed it's this small. So a standard Nook is like 4 inches by 4 inches. This one's a bit bigger. We're looking at, I know they probably have the dimensions online, but looks like 6 by 6. And so 6 inches by 6 inches, 2 inches thick. Can you even imagine if this were 1986 and I showed this to you? There's no way. You'd say, no way. I think there's a piece of plastic on this because it's got some sort of, I don't know what this is. My guess is they shipped this with plastic over the screen to protect the screen. And so you can see it's really bubbled up here. So let me see if I can find an edge. Yeah. It'd be nice if they had like a little piece of tape that stuck out and said pull. But you got to use a fingernail or something. Find an edge you can grab. I think. Oh, much better. Okay. Well, looky here. Look at this. No power button. There's the front, just as we pictured it. There's the side, just as, well, just holes. More holes on the bottom. Oh, and there's the little parts, keyhole slots that those little nubs on the stand will go into. Here's the back of the unit. Power cable, HDMI, everything is pictured. But then on this side, we have our power button, a full-size card reader, which is good, and then a switch. I don't know what this switch does. Oh, that's a privacy cover for the camera. When it's red, the camera is blocked, so you don't have to worry about being spied on. Thank you, Minisforum. I also noticed it looks like we got to take rubber feet off to get into this thing. But if you look right here, you got the arrow that says front with a little cutout to put your spudger tool in. Once you get the screws out, you pop the lid up, I'm guessing. I don't think that lid's going to pop off, because if it did, it would take the stand with it. So this is likely going to be secured by screws. We'll get to that. So let's take the stand, Your Honor. Let's figure out, how does this stand go on that? Seems like it's not quite wide enough, but I think the stand has a hinge. Oh. So now, if we take this, I don't know which way's up, to be honest. I guess you don't have a choice. Take that, place it in the slots, and slide it down. And then we can place it on the desk. And of course, with the hinge on it, you can adjust the camera location if you're in a meeting. You say you're sitting in a chair, and you've got this next to you, that you can angle it properly to see your face. Now, normally you'd be sitting at a desk, so hopefully, it's not looking up your nostrils. No offense, but I don't want to look up your nostrils. So that is how that goes together. And then I guess that's where the rest of the stand went, down in there. We have this black box. Oh, it's not even a box, it's just a little cover. And in here we've got some documentation, HDMI. This is what our power brick looks like. Not too bad. This is a relatively small power brick when you consider, I guess because it's 65 watts, right? I don't know. Is that what it says? It says it's 120 watts. And these always have plastic on them. These do get hot, and it's in your best interest. I know we like to keep things new, but you're not doing yourself any favors by leaving this plastic on. The favor you're doing is for the person you sell it to in the years later when you're wanting to move on. Then that person can take the plastic off, and thanks to your sacrifice of letting this run hot, they get a brand new looking adapter. So I am suggesting take the plastic off so you can enjoy it. Don't worry about the next person. Not to mention that plastic is really intended to just be there to protect it from scratching up and shipping. Typically, anything with a manufacturer's name gets covered in plastic universally, regardless of who makes it. That's pretty common in this industry. Now, what would it matter if we scratched up the power adapter? I have no idea, but this power adapter is made by and has, well, it's got Minisforum branding. Remember, that's one of my complaints, is when the power adapters don't have the manufacturer name. Well, guess what? This one does, so we don't have to worry about mixing it up, because these barrel connectors are very common, and if you plug it in the wrong device, you could ruin the device, just totally toast it. And on the back side, it tells us it's 120 watts, so I didn't even need to look that hard. With a cloverleaf Mickey Mouse profile style, very common power cable used in laptops and portable devices. So nothing proprietary here. I like that. This is all industry standard. Makes me happy. And then, of course, we have our American power cable. I'm going to put all this stuff back because I'll use my cloverleaf power cable. As I mentioned, they're universal, so we don't have to worry about anything proprietary. We just want to make sure we always keep the power adapter with the unit, no matter what that is. Even an old school clock radio, you don't want to mix those up. All right, we're ready for our first boot up. Make sure We turn this on, we go through the setup, and we make sure it works. So unless this was bare bones, don't modify it, because you need to verify that it works. So if there were any changes that you wanted to make to the hardware and you're anxious, the worst thing you can do is make those changes before seeing that the machine works. Because if you make those changes and then you go to turn the machine on and it doesn't work, how do you know if your changes caused it to not work or if it was shipped to you in a non-working condition? You understand? It makes diagnosing very difficult. So with the exception of a bare bones machine, which can't boot without RAM and storage, you have to open it and do that. Anytime you're buying a new television, computer, any electronic gadget, always power it on and make sure it works before modifying it. Then after you modify it, if it doesn't work anymore, you know exactly why. There's a tip from your Uncle Carey. All right, let's grab the power cable. Plug that bad boy in. Grab HDMI. HDMI. We're going to plug that in right there. We're going to leave Ethernet out because we're going to boot for the very first time, and I don't want Microsoft to force me to create a Microsoft account. I need a keyboard and a mouse, which I have back here. And I'm going to use that black USB port because that's the slow USB port. It's not like I'm going to type any faster if I plug in my wireless keyboard and mouse dongle into a faster USB port. Some people think that way. I know you're not one of them. But somebody watching out there might be like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm going to type way faster on USB 3. Okay. All right, so that's the only right answer when you deal with unreasonable people. Just nod your head and say, okay. All right, then. All right. See if I can tilt this so we can get a good angle from the lighting. All right, let's turn it on. Oh, the power button ends up being on top. Oh, that's very clever. So our power button, our privacy thing for the camera, obviously the camera's on top, and the SD card reader is also on top. Very convenient. Here we go. We turned it on. We got a round light around the power cable. Oh, look at this. Forget that reflection of blue there. Let me just turn that away from my clock. That's actually what it looks like. Now let's switch over to the HDMI port on our capture card and see what this thing looks like as it's booting. Probably should have done that first. HDMI input. Here we go. You know what? I'll put myself on screen too. So let's do both. Now, clearly, this is not a cheap computer. On the other hand, if you tried to build something like this yourself with the desktop equivalent components, you're probably looking at around $1,500, because this is nearly half the price of building it yourself. And, well, it's not as upgradable or repairable as a desktop. I don't see any reason why you should have to get in there. Like with 32 gigs and 1 terabyte of storage, if you need additional storage, plug in a USB port or use a network attached storage device, in my opinion. Now, yes, you could open it up and swap it for a faster 2 terabyte. That would be reasonable. Or even go to 4 if you really, really needed to. But I strongly advise against it because that's a lot of data to lose. Should you have a drive failure, or should the machine get misplaced? It's so small, or somebody steals it. You're better off with a smaller drive, forcing yourself to save your data externally. Well, an external backup is not a backup. Well, I should say an external storage is not a backup. They're very inexpensive. You can get them SSD, super small, lightweight, take it with you when you travel. And you can use multiple so that you have basically copies of the same data in case one of your external drives fails. All right, let's go full screen over here for Carey. Hey, I can see it now. Let's go through our Windows 11 out-of-box experience, which is how every new computer should start, from a system integrator, from somebody who builds computers. Except for me, because I do all this for my customers, but I'm not really supposed to. So, okay, let's go to English When I say not supposed to, I mean according to Microsoft policies, not United States laws. All right, so this is country of origin, United States, yes. And then keyboard is US, skip any other layout of language for the keyboard. Now we got our Wi-Fi. Oh, look at this. The Minisforum right out of the box has enabled my option here. I do not have to run the bypass NRO. I just click I don't have internet. I have to tell it twice. And now it moves on to the license agreement, which I have to accept. And we'll put Atomman. Is that one word or two? They show it as one word with and capitalized. Next, free password. Just leave that open. What do I do here, everybody? You tell me. Next, choose privacy settings. Didn't I just do that? Accept. The greenie says you leave just location on. That's right. Why do I do that? You don't have to. These are just, I'm telling you, I'm showing you how I configure things for my customers and why I do it that way. I'm not just saying I do it this way because I have a logic that if you agree with, you might want to adopt. And if you don't agree with it, at least you know why. To each their own. The greenie says for the correct time. Yes, it actually serves me a function of letting Windows Update or the internet time server, what do they call that? There's a couple of time servers. Synchronize the date and time on a regular basis because clocks always lose or gain minutes. Even a Rolex will lose or gain seconds or minutes in the course of a year, and they're considered highly accurate. Computers, not so much. So this will constantly make those changes and updates in the background. Also, if I want to use a search for something, just like on my phone, I can say, where is a restaurant near me? Without location on, it doesn't know where I am. So I'd have to say restaurant location near, and then enter my zip code. With location settings on, I don't have to do that. With location settings on, if I were kidnapped, I wish. If I were kidnapped and I was able to get my phone out, say someone's got me in a trunk of a car, right? They're not watching me. I'm able to wiggle myself free to grab my phone. You ask Google, where am I? You can do that right now and test it while we're doing this video. Take out your phone, go to Google, type in, where am I? And watch how precise it tells you your location. You never need to be lost ever again. So I use location settings on, just as I do on a phone. I do it on my desktop because I tend to type the same things out of habit without thinking about it. So all those reasons. Now, I don't have the network plugged in, so let me grab my network cable. And even though these are 5 gig ports, plugging into either one of them, we should see the globe down here in the right corner become a little monitor, and it should connect at 2.5 because my switch is 2.5. The network card's 5. It's going to run at whatever is the slowest. If my switch is 1 gig, that port's going to run at 1 gig. Speed of the slowest. Slowest sets the pace. Mara said she kidnapped me 27 years ago. Yeah, and you know why? Because they're like, you keep him. My parents said, what? You kidnapped him? How much money do you want to pay us for us to take him back? 27 years later, they're still waiting for a check or they're not taking me back. So that didn't work out the way she thought it would. Let's check our connection here. Let me go to properties. Oops. Happened, just disconnected me. Properties. Say it's on a private network. And yeah, we're connected at 2.5 up and down. What I wanted to see. Let's go to the system properties. Let's take a look at our CPU and storage, make sure that's what it should be. We got a system. You look over here, See, we've got the Ultra 9185H, which is idling at 2.3. 32 gigs of DDR5. Oh, it doesn't specify DDR5 here. We have Windows 11 Pro 23H2. Awesome. It's 23H2 that introduced that requirement to have to log into the network. So they've obviously modified the install there, which is a welcome modification. Let's go to the device manager. Let me just close this out. Right click on the start menu, go to device manager, and let's see who makes those network cards. Those are both Realtek 5 gigabit family Ethernet controllers, and our Wi-Fi is an Intel Wi-Fi 7. Can't read that number, it's too far away. BE 200. Let's do this. Let's open up our browser. Close this. Start without data. That. And let's do test my webcam. Webcam test. Detecting your media devices. Waiting for permission. Wow. Oh, it's facing. You guys get my view. It's facing. Yeah, this is what I'm looking at when I talk to you guys. I'm gonna say that webcam works. And then if we close the privacy shutter, bye-bye, there it goes. Come on, that's pretty cool. Didn't have to do any configuration. It just works right out of the box. Now let's hit Windows Update and let's see how many updates are missing. You always want to go to Windows Update on a new computer before you really do anything as far as configuring or installing printers and email. Make sure the computer's fully optimized and updated, and then start customizing it to your preferences. I'm just grabbing everything. Okay, so while we wait for that to download, does anybody have any questions for me? Mara mentions NTP, the network time protocol, I think is what it is. That's what's setting the date and time. It's an NTP. I call it a time server. Mara's more technical than me. Blah, blah, blah. You got to get your transmorgifier into your reverse polarity neutron interface in order to obtain maximum performance through the inducers. And of course, Christopher Horton mentions, once you go through all your updates, and once you set up everything the way you like it, you get your software installed and activated as needed, then make an image backup of the computer with something like Acronis. Acronis is our friends here, and they've offered everybody who watches a 30% discount off of their Acronis product. They brought back the True Image name, so it's Acronis True Image. I use it. I've been using it for, if it's not 2 decades, it's at least 15 years. And whether or not we work with them, I'm still using their product. So again, unlike other content creators, I'm not an enthusiast. I take accountability and responsibility and use the products in my business that I recommend here, provided those companies work with me. So, you know, I'm very delighted when the folks at VIP CDK Deals, Acronis, and RoboForm, all 3 products I love and use in my daily business, agreed to work with me. I won't mention the names of the products I use and love, but don't work with me. But we'll work on that. Sometimes these things take time. In the meantime, we have links to those discounts and to those products that all have free trials, so you don't have to take my word for anything. And we have interviews with each of these companies, not VIP CDK Deals, because I've done those videos myself. But with regards to RoboForm, what it is, how to use it, we got a whole video just on that. It's a walkthrough. What is Acronis? What can it do? How do you use it? We've got several videos that go through that entire process that you can follow us click by click, just like somebody making a recipe, right? You do this first, you do this. And we do it in real time. And you have free trials on both of those products. And if you like it, pay for the subscription. But even though it's a great price, you can get 30% off that great price using our codes and our links in the video notes. No pressure, decide for yourself. My phone beeped, what usually indicates a delivery. We've been having a lot of storms this year, a lot of big storms. Yeah. And that sounds like wind. So apparently the wind has moved the camera, which then made it think there was some motion. And yeah, we had a lot of big thunderstorm here last night. That's the 6th one so far this summer. There's more coming. It's what we call monsoon season here in Phoenix. It looks like it's just doing this last cumulative update. So let's go ahead and restart it, let it finish those other updates and come back and revisit that. In the meantime, thank you to Jose Lopez with a $2 super chat. It says, hello, Carey, Mara, and chat. Sorry I'm late. Thomas Maxey says, can't wait for the faster network speed of Studio C. Huh. You and me both, man. Ron Barnish says, it looks like the bottom cover has clips to take it on and off. Seen that when you were on the Minisforum site. We'll take a look at that. You might be right. I have no idea. Just like that last mini PC we looked at where I was pulling the rubber feet off and ripped one of the rubber feet and there were no screws underneath, or at least the top of the screw wasn't there. It was the bottom of the screw. So why the holes were even there didn't make any sense. But we'll be more careful with this one. Mara says we met in 97. I think we met in 99. The more I think about it, because we were doing upgrades to the company for Y2K compliance. Everybody was so afraid, you know, Y2K is coming. So it had to be 99 and at the earliest 98. She's close though at 97, but it wouldn't. I think I was working for Intel in 1997. I can't remember. I have no idea. Everybody records everything on their phones now. If I had that technology with me then, I'm sure I'd have tons of photos from all my friends and fun times at these places I've worked at, these corporations. But 98 would be the earliest, because it wasn't like the day I started, we started implementing Y2K compliance. It was a few months I was there, and then all of a sudden everything in the office, including the desks and the chairs, had to be tagged as Y2K compliant. Every single asset in the office. The dumbest thing I've ever seen, but you know, it's bureaucratic corporations for you. All right, that was a pretty quick boot up. You know, I don't like this little cartoon down in the corner. And the way I get rid of that is I type search permissions, and as I type the word per, the suggestion up here shows up. So I just hit enter. That's going to take me right into the control panel under this subsection. I go all the way to the bottom under more settings. And when I flip this to off, you're going to see that cartoon go away and never come back again. Bye-bye. I also like to check the power settings so the screen doesn't go to sleep on us. So we type in edit space power. Now again, it's already filled it in up here. I push enter. That takes us again to the control panel. And we can see the way the manufacturer has this set, which is currently to never. I'd say 3 hours on putting this display off, but I never want the computer to sleep unless that computer runs off batteries. Let's go back to Windows Update. And let it go ahead and download. This is a pretty beefy update here, so it might take a minute. While we're waiting, I'm happy to address any questions that you might have. Douglas Purcell says, I thought y'all met in 68. Well, in a weird way, given that's the year I was born, I suppose if I was never born, we would have never met. Let's see. Captain Blinsky says, we have near excessive drought conditions here in southwestern Pennsylvania. The storms keep passing by to the north. Had a small one last night, though. Well, you've got all the East Coast tropical storm hurricanes? Debbie going through Atlanta, going through Georgia, going through North and South Carolina, all those coastal cities on the East Coast. Pretty devastating right now. So hopefully anybody watching from there must be doing good, because I suspect if your house has a foot of water in it, you're probably not online watching videos. You probably don't have power. So certainly thoughts out to them that they stay safe and stay dry. Pretty harsh conditions. They call it a 1 in 1,000 year storm. Peter's VZ with a €1 contribution. Right on. Thank you, Peter. Lou Greenia says he's 80% sure he's talked himself into purchasing the Leon Lee HydroShift 360R all-in-one for Project Zero. Hey, if you do that, I'd love to see photos of what it looks like once it's done. Shamim Keshvira says, Carey, wouldn't it be more fair to compare mini PCs to PCs instead of comparing them to laptops? Because to take a mini PC with you requires a lot of extra parts to make it work. Does it? If I take this mini PC with me and I'm staying at a hotel or staying anywhere indoors, there's probably a television in the room I'll be sleeping in. So as long as I bring an HDMI cable and plug it into the back of the TV, whether it's a hotel or otherwise, I don't need to bring a monitor. A small keyboard and a mouse takes up very little room. They're very thin. These run off rechargeable batteries that last me about 3 or 4 months between charges. Of course, you bring the mini PC and the power adapter, as you would with your electric toothbrush or your electric shaver. You know, any other personal care items that have to be recharged. Your phone needs a charger. It's not really like you're bringing that much with you. In fact, if you're going to travel with it, why don't you travel with your desktop and tell me how many things you need to bring with you? That's a very different world. Now, I don't necessarily compare these to laptops or desktops. When I'm looking at mini PCs, and I'm not sure how you got the impression that I was comparing it other than in price for what you get. So if you compare the price of a desktop built to these specs, what would it cost you versus, you know, if somebody says, hey, this thing's expensive. Okay, we'll build one. Then come back and tell me this is expensive. I don't expect you to build a mini PC. I expect you to build a desktop that's the equivalent to this mini PC. And tell me what your cost is, and tell me if you still think this is expensive compared to what you were going to have to pay to build a desktop equivalent. Well, this is far more portable. When it comes to performance, though, I tend to compare mini PCs to other mini PCs. Size, noise, performance, price. This has been very quiet. I can just hear a whisper of a fan running right now. But that's, you know, that's my perspective on that. Compare laptops to laptops, compare desktops to laptops, compare mini PCs to mini PCs, except when we talk about price. Especially, not that anybody said it was expensive, but I'm sure many of you out there think this is expensive. And for a mini PC, it is. But to an equivalent desktop PC, and that's the only point I was trying to make, this is much, much cheaper. And I think it has more advantages in its portability and cooling solution. The disadvantages are, you know, it's going to be limited. You're not going to throw a graphics card in it, but you can put a graphics card externally. You're not going to be adding any other expansion cards. But who does that these days? I think we have some habits and some concerns that are no longer applicable, except maybe to you, and that's okay. But they're not building computers for you. They're building computers for the public, right? So, and I'm stalling here. I'm waiting for Windows updates. I'm going to keep droning on about this. Otherwise, I could just stand here and stare at you awkwardly. Oh, you want me to continue? Okay. The point I'm trying to make is some people who've been into computers a long time keep holding on to these. And I'm not saying you're doing it, but I had a customer the other day called me and said, I need a new Blu-ray drive for my computer. I think I burned mine out. This is a computer I built for him like 8 years ago. And I said, you still use a Blu-ray drive? DVD, CD, Blu-ray drive? He says, yeah, I use it almost every day. I go, for what? Oh, for music and this and that. And I'm like, we usually use flash drives for that. They're cheaper, they're faster. I like doing it this way. My wife was watching a video on YouTube that's an old movie. It was terrible quality. So I downloaded it. And by the way, you're not allowed to do any of this legally. So he downloads the movie for his wife and he upscaled it and then used Handbrake to compress it and then burned it to a DVD so that she can watch her movie. These folks are both retired. They got nothing else going on all day. Okay. You realize people don't do that much anymore. Most people are going to be streaming everything they want. And it was already on YouTube. You could have just streamed it right from YouTube. It's not like you could have made the quality that much better. I said, I'll tell you what, regardless of that, when you're ready to buy a new computer, it's going to be hard to find a case that we could put a Blu-ray drive in. They're out there, but they're few and far between. So if we upgrade your computer, which means we take the motherboard, the RAM, the CPU, the cooler, and the storage, we'll rip all that out, but we'll keep your power supply in your case because I think he has a 200R. Then we can put any motherboards you want that's modern in there with a modern CPU, DDR5, Gen 4, Gen 5 solid state drive, and keep your Blu-ray. But in the meantime, if it's bad, just go on Amazon. He goes, which one's good? I go, if it's me, I would order LG or Asus, but literally anything on there is going to work for you. And he's capable of taking it out and putting it in, so he doesn't need me for that. And we'll just keep it onto the next build. I'm not sure they make drives anymore. I think what Amazon is selling is all just existing inventory. I could be wrong, but everything's shifting away from that. So I was going to recommend just get a USB Blu-ray drive. But apparently he uses it a ton. There you go. I did too in 2006 maybe, but not anymore. Some people stay in 2006 for some reason. They don't want to keep up. They know how to do this. They don't want to change. They don't want to learn something new. This works fine. Why should I change it is sort of the mentality. And then a decade goes by and they're still using it. I mean, they're allowed to do that. Don't get me wrong. It's just trying to convince them, you're kind of doing this the hard way. Streaming is so much easier. They don't want to hear it. They didn't ask. They just want to know, where can I get another Blu-ray drive? Okay, no problem. The Greenia says, I remember using Napster. I love that program. It's a very interesting history. There's, first of all, there's a documentary called How Music Got Free that you might look for. And there is a, is it Swedish documentary about Spotify and how Napster and Pirate Bay played into, everything that was going on with the RIAA, the Recording Industry Association of America, suing everybody all the time and trying to take down Pirate Bay and take down Napster, refusing to, they're fighting it instead of going along with it and offering their own streaming services and making it easier and cheaper to get the music legitimately than it is to go through all the hassle of stealing it or pirating it. Now the music industry or the video industry is going through all of this again. It's like deja vu. They did this with VHS tapes. Oh, it's going to put the movies companies out of business. DVDs. Oh, we're going to lose so much money. And then they eventually come around and, oh, we should probably be streaming it. You know, the way everybody's been doing illegally for years because we didn't offer them an option. If you wanted to stream it, you had to stream it illegally. Once they realized they could stream it, there was a whole new revenue coming in that didn't have any of the cost and distribution of manufacturing and distribution costs of making DVDs and VHS tapes. So now they're doing it again. This time they're suing Suno AI. That's the thing I used to make the songs here in the trailers. And Udio, which is their competitor, saying that they've stolen all the music to train the AI. In the meantime, what has the music company provided us to create our own AI music? Nothing. How long do you think it's going to take him to get on board with this one? So here we go again. But yeah, there's a great book about Spotify. And there was also a TV show, and you'd have to get like an English dub or English captions. Fantastic. Based on a true story, but all dramatized and played by actors, not the real people. And it is called, I'll look it up. So I'm just going to type in Google Spotify documentary, The Playlist. It's a docudrama miniseries created for Netflix in Sweden, I believe. So it's not in English. Came out in 2022. And it's about the founding of Spotify and its early challenges. It's a 6-episode series inspired by the book Spotify Untold by Sven Carlson and Jones Lugenhovud. And it's told from the different perspectives of the people involved in Spotify's origin. So check, I don't know what's on Netflix right now, but if you're interested, check for The Playlist. Don't mind me, I'm just done? Still not done. So yeah, so the wind is blowing. The wind is, my phone beeped because the wind is blowing, and where the sun is, it's casting a shadow on the ground, and it's moving all the tree branches across the shadows on the ground. And the camera is going, you've got movement in your backyard. I'm checking it, and there's nothing there. And I could see the shadows moving, and I'm like, okay. Let's see. Captain Blinsky says, I'd love to use my flash drives for tunage while out and about in the car. Well, what year, make, and model of car do you have? And are you using the factory stereo? Because I got to tell you, I can bring a little Bluetooth speaker and set it on the floorboard or the back seat of the car and just put my cell phone paired to that Bluetooth and listen to all the music I want in the car with no wires. The Bluetooth is wireless. The phone is wireless. Just turn the car stereo off and just use your phone to control your tunes. Just make sure you're at a red light or park somewhere. Don't do it while you're driving. Mara has posted the email for the channel in the chat room here. So if you want to email us, please use the showcasecreate@gmail.com email address, and Mara will answer your emails. Christopher Horton says, I suspect record labels will eventually contribute to AI music programs unless the AI stuff is passing fad. Hard to tell. Seen a lot of trends in this industry. AI will not be a passing fad. It's like saying, oh, this electricity, I don't know how long that's going to go. It may not last. And certainly in the days of Tesla versus Edison, there was a fight for AC versus DC. Edison wanted DC and Tesla wanted AC. Big, long history of that. And there's documentaries if you want to learn more about it. I think J.P. Morgan was the first person to have electricity in his house, and that was DC provided by Edison. So you've seen or heard that name. Do you know who he was? J.P. Morgan. Anyway, so you know, kids, they expect Wi-Fi everywhere, just like electricity. If you walked into a store that had no lights, you'd probably feel like, I'm not sure I want to shop here. So for younger kids, if they go somewhere like in a building, an office, or a retail store, and there's no Wi-Fi, it's like they don't have electricity to them. So when it comes to AI, we're just getting started. AI is going to be one of the biggest advancements in human history and evolution that's ever occurred. It'll be able to solve problems in seconds that would take us years to work out. It's going to make mistakes. It's going to be used for bad things, but it's not going away. It's only getting bigger. We're seeing it as a little tiny chicklet. You're not realizing that's going to grow into a big chicken. You watch. And it's going to be very tasty. Anyway, I think I drifted off a little bit there. Douglas mentions you can pair your phone to your car. Back to the Bluetooth. Not if his car's so old it doesn't have Bluetooth. It doesn't have to be that old. My Mini Cooper didn't have Bluetooth. That was a 2005. Mara says, folks, when I check the email, Carey is included. So yes, when you guys email the Showcase Create, that's going to go to Mara. I don't have time to go through all those emails. Mara can answer most of your questions. If there's something specific that I need to get involved, then Mara brings it to my attention. Please understand, I'm trying my best to get a studio moved, a new studio set up, the old studio torn down. Also trying to get these reviews, builds, and repairs caught up, and I'm under a timeline. So I appreciate your consideration, and don't hesitate to reach out at the Showcase Create Gmail. Mara's more than happy to respond to any comments, questions, or concerns you have. And if it requires me involved, she'll get me involved. Shamim Kajrera said the movie Prestige explains a little bit about this rivalry, and actually, like, the two magicians in the movie act like Tesla and Edison as an analogy. Yeah, Prestige was a weird movie. It had David Bowie in it, didn't it? I watched it for David Bowie. It's a lot of fiction, but very well filmed. And I don't regret watching it. It's not one of my favorites, but I absolutely, didn't lose interest or turn it off midway through. I stuck with, I was interested, but mostly because of David Bowie. I think if David Bowie wasn't in it, I probably wouldn't have watched it. It didn't look like the kind of movie I would normally watch. Bowie played Tesla, right? And it was, trying to think who played the other one. It's not Hugh Jackman, is it? I'm sure you'll tell me. It was a good cast. That movie didn't get a lot of attention, I think. Yeah, at least rather not the attention it deserved. Edison doesn't appear. Who's the magician? Isn't it Hugh Jackman? Okay, finally, we're ready to restart here. Oh, Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman are the magicians. That's what it is. Yeah. Listen, when I started the show, I wasn't even sure what day of the week it was. The details of a movie I watched a couple of years ago. Yeah, no chance. No chance I'm going to get all the detail right. I'm just proud I knew the name of David Bowie was in it. I knew the name of the movie. I'm a human Google. What can I say? Let me grab a cold Gatorade while we wait for this last update to install. The fan is very, very quiet here. And while we're waiting, I suppose I can Google, see if there's any information on how to open this unit up. If we have to remove the rubber feet or if it just pops open, I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah, if it's got Bowie in it, I'm watching it, right? So like Labyrinth was fantastic back in the day. And A Knight's Tale. If you've never seen A Knight's Tale, that's a fun movie. And there's a song in it from David Bowie. I think it's Golden Years. And Heath Ledger plays the main character. But it's a great cast. Can't think of the other two guys' names, but they've been in a bunch of other stuff. But A Knight's Tale, it's not what you think it is. If you haven't watched it, it's unlike any other medieval timepiece you've ever seen. I really like it. Okay, so as we boot up here, should be our final reset of the, maybe not. Like I said, that last update was a big one. Finally, we got through it though. And we're back. All right. So what I'm wondering is, you guys mentioned, let's see, how to open Atom. I think this is too new. 7 Ti. Well, clearly we're not the first to review it, but that's okay. Let's go to Minisforum's website here. So under the rubber feet, it does appear that there's a little post. And I see a little clip. So I can't tell if those are screws. You know what we haven't done? Let me just postpone this for a second. There should be a way to adjust the screen, the 4-inch touchscreen. Realtek audio. You'd think they'd put it on the desktop. All apps. What is SCCS? Or do anything? That's great. It's not in the Intel, is it? So it only sees one display. All right, so it's not seeing it as a second monitor. Otherwise, we'd have the number of monitors displayed here. So there must be an app to change the 4-inch display on the front of this mini PC. I just got to find it. I would think it would have been in here or on the desktop. So I look under all apps. This all looks pretty standard to me. I don't see anything in here to control the screen. I don't know what this SCCS is, though. I wonder if I have to run it as an administrator. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but it's definitely not our screen control. Mara saying thank you to Mark Gaines. Thank you, Mark. Whatever that's about. Give you an email. All right, let's see. How do we adjust the screen? Is it maybe down in the system tray? No, I just see Bluetooth and antivirus settings there. I turn these off, and then I go down to taskbar behaviors. No, not behaviors, taskbar, system tray icons, what they call it. We don't want to see OneDrive. Windows update status, yes, please. Everything that's off, I want back on. This one, and this one. Okay, that's the way I want it. Now, we'll go through the standard antivirus warnings here. I'm not connecting to Microsoft. I don't want to connect to Microsoft. I do want to turn this on. I don't know what this is about. Go to settings. Memory integrity is off. All right, if we turn that on, I think we have to reboot. Let's go ahead and restart. And yeah, I'm going to have to find the app for the screen. I think I'm going to need my overhead camera. So while we're restarting, I'm going to step aside and get the overhead camera wired up. I mean, this mini PC has been silent. Of course, we haven't really pushed it really hard, but that makes it, you know, if a mini PC is getting noticeably louder on the cooling when we're not even asking it to do anything, that's a little worrisome. So this is performing exactly like I would expect it to at this point so far. Nothing extreme in regards to behaviors. It's very well civilized. It's my USB port for the camera. We got to give the camera power because, you know, it's a Sony camera. You always just drain the battery from sitting even though they're off. So let's solve that problem before we have it. Whoops, I just pulled the cable out. Whoopsie. Probably should not be standing on the cable when I do this. Try that again. Okay. A little bit. Turn this down. Oh, I gotta bring these cables out of the shot too. Darn it, I should have done that when I was cabling it. We'll just make do. It's just temporary. All right. I'm wondering, what I wonder is it on the screen that I have to do the modification? Is it a menu on the screen itself? I don't know what's powering that screen. I don't see the app. But let me poke around here. Let's go full screen for a moment. On camera 1. And let me get my glasses and let's check this front here. And on the front, we have a bunch of detail with our date and time, CPU speed, GPU temperature, CPU temperature, RAM usage, SSD temperature, and how full the SSD is. Hey, that's pretty handy. We've got upload speed, download speed, fan speed. We've got something about a light. Oh, that's the brightness for the screen. There's some kind of volume control here. Oh, well, this is all in another language, but I don't know if this is showing us which ports are in use. Then up here, so this is all in another language. There's got to be a way to change the language. Yeah, so that's where we're changing the screen style. This must be setting this, I'm guessing, I can't read it because it's all in Mandarin or Cantonese, but this is setting it what looks like an economy setting. This looks like sort of a middle power setting, and this looks like high performance when you hit this button right there. Let's go down here. What's the next one? Now we have a little person up here in the corner. I'm going to click on that. And this offers us clock. There's something with a bunch of little boxes, and we can change the layout. Like that. We can that doesn't work. Nothing's clickable there. One way to find out where we can go. There's got to be a language setting in here somewhere. I can change this language to English. I don't know where it is. Ah, there it is. I want English. Turn that off. So the top language shows the Chinese flag. We're going to... There. Now I've selected English. So that was on the little globe icon here. Little globe. Now there's no more Chinese on there. Now it's all English. Yeah, energy saving, balanced mode, and high performance. And how do we change the screen? It's got to be controlled in software because I don't see. Just goes back to the clock. It's a USB. Oh, that gets us back to our interface. Again, I don't know how often anybody's going to be touching on the screen, but they do show in their demo page, they show a bunch of different options for how this display can be used. So there's got to be some display software on it somewhere. Now, as for how to get into it, and keep in mind, I do still have it on. I am just curious. Yeah, that's not pulling up. I think there's screws under the feet that have to come off. So which problem do I want to solve first? Figuring out the screen software for a screen I won't use, or open this machine up. What do you think? Mark Gaines wants me to check the phone. I gotcha. All right. Time for a little break. Oh, I missed a couple things. Ron Barnish sends us an Amazon gift card of $10. He goes, I hope you enjoy this Amazon gift card. Had to use the other email address. Why would you have to? Well, I'm glad you did. Thank you for that, Ron. As always. Mark Gaines also sends an Amazon gift card of $100. Wow, thank you. Very generous, Mark. He goes, hope you enjoy this Amazon gift card. A little something towards Studio C. Thank you so much. We're pouring so much money into Studio C. That all helps. I think that catches me up. Okay, right on. Thank you guys so much. The touchscreen is just too cool. I'm really impressed, says Christopher Horton. Jose wants me to open this thing up. I'm just bothered by, not knowing how that touchscreen is controlled. Let me take one more look, give it one more shot, see if I can't figure it out here. There should be a touchscreen app. It looks like I'm losing my internet connection. I might have a bad cable, or I didn't plug it in all the way. So I want to see that little globe turn to that little PC shape. Not that it matters for what we're doing right now, but let's do, yeah, you know what? We will need it. Let's search for, go to Google, search for Atomman X7 screen software. Well, that wasn't useful. Well, the good news is, if you guys are interested in seeing other reviews of this product, you've got a lot of them. My connection keeps falling and coming back. It's very strange. I think that's my cable. Look at this, Minisforum download. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I seem to recall photos with different display options on the front cover, but they're showing it here with the same display. Download. We have drivers, screen driver. Well, it's just screen driver, which implies it's 7.5 megs. That's just a driver. BIOS version 1.0. I'm sure that's probably the BIOS we have. It just came out not too long ago. And then our manual. So it's good to see Minisforum put this together. You won't find this on other lesser known, smaller brands. They just point you to like a storage drive, like OneDrive or Google Drive, to get your downloads all packed together into gigabytes, even though you just want like a 7.5 meg screen driver. Other manufacturers make you download an entire 600 meg driver package. So it frustrates me. So I'm glad Minisforum's doing it the right way. All right, so what I'm going to do, the screen may not be changeable. I don't know. I can reach out to Minisforum and ask. Given that it's a screen driver, it still feels to me like it should be part of the main graphics driver, as a second monitor. But it only shows one here. It's saying our monitors are Pro Capture Card. Ha! That's clever. Wow. All right. The only other thing I think it could be is in the settings area. It puts an icon somewhere. Not here. Maybe if we go to the old school control panel. Large icons. Nothing about a screen. There's our monitor that I use, the Samsung TV there. Nothing labeled Minisforum. And we scroll down to that SSCS, whatever that is. I'm thinking, I don't recognize this SCCS. What is this? Source code control system, maybe? I don't know. I'm thinking that may be the monitor driver. I don't know. Let's go ahead and shut it down and take it apart. Let's see how it opens up. Yeah, maybe I'll cheat. How? See, somebody already did it. How to upgrade Atomman X7. It's probably going to be a video, so let's search under videos. Someone's got an update. I'm doing the firmware. There's some gaming being done on it. They're different machines. That is not it. There we go. This is from Minisforum themselves. They have their own YouTube channel, which I recommend you subscribe to if you want all the latest detail. You open it? Yeah, see the display here? Look here. I didn't imagine it. They do show it with all these different displays. How did he get to that? So if we go to YouTube, this is not Minisforum's page. Let's search for Minisforum. Probably could have had this open already. You know, that's why I don't like going through this. It's time consuming and where I'm looking is down here. I'm looking for Minisforum. Here, Minisforum official. That's the one we want. And then we'll go under videos and we should be able to see, it's like here they're showing memory installation on the G7 that we did, what, 2 weeks ago? The MSA one we're going to do, we've got it. We just have to make time for it in the schedule, but that'll be the next Minisforum we review. Here's the X7 Ti. That's that video someone else uploaded. And I don't see them taking that apart. X7 Ti. Two months ago, they posted this little teaser. And then that was the final video they posted also 2 months ago. Well, there's only 3 seconds difference between them. I'm not sure. Mara's been using the Minisforum V3 tablet. She loves it. She absolutely loves it. Christopher Horton said the SCCS is definitely touchscreen support. Yeah, I just don't know how they're changing the display, what it's displaying. Mark Gaines with £5 says, time for a quick phone check, Carey. And again, thank you, Mark, and thank you for the £5 super chat contribution as well. Okay, so I think let's go close this down. Oh, I got to use the right mouse. And let's just figure this out on our own, which is what I was going to do. I was going to do a little cheat here, trying to speed things up, which ultimately just slowed us down. Shut down, and then we're going to come back over here to camera 1. And then we'll see how this thing opens up. Lagrinia wants to know, when setting up the fans for an all-in-one top-mounted radiator, should the fans be pulling air in or out? Well, if those fans have LEDs, you want them facing inside of the case so you can see them. And if you flip them the other way around, if you put them on top of the radiator, you won't see them. You won't see the LEDs. And if you put the fans where they're drawing air into the case, you won't see the LEDs very well. So you don't really have much of a choice. If you watch any of my videos where I put in an all-in-one cooler, like literally pick one, they all go in the same way, typically for the same reason. So that'll help you out. I don't think it really affects the temperature controls much. It's really just about how it's going to look when you're done. And I imagine what you're talking about has LEDs, and you're going to want to see those. That's going to indicate where the fans go and what orientation they have. All right, let's get this all unplugged. Like this, and like this, and like this, and like that. And we'll take the stand off of it. I like that there's no screws for the stand. You just take it right off of there. How does this open? Time to do a little surgery. We're just about at the end of showtime here, so let's see how quickly we can get through this. We'll run a little bit long today. All right, so let's get the overhead camera turned on. Keyboard and mouse out of the way. This keyboard out of the way. And just for anybody tuning in and has no idea what we're working on, I like to keep this little box up here, just so you know, even though you won't see that in the top-down cam. Speaking of which, I need to move that into what I think is the position it needs to go in. It's turned on and functioning, so now I just need to adjust it. And let's go over to camera 1. Sorry, we're on camera 1. Let's go to the close-up camera. All right. Of course. Let's go this way. All right, if that's how it wants to do it, that's how we'll do it. Ah, come on. Come on, camera. Guess that's where it's going to go. Really? I got to pull it that far away from me? You got to be kidding. All right, that's a little better. So what I suspect, so again, these are the holes that the stand goes into. I think there are screws underneath here. So let me get my glasses so I can see. Now, are these glued down? I'm going to check that one more time just to make sure it's not a strong magnet. I do tend to be a bit too gentle with these, especially when they're brand new. I don't want to break something new. Let's see, I've got this little spudging tool here, which is very cheap and very flexible. It's not my iFixit one. But yeah, that's just bending the tool. So I think there's screws under there that have to come out. Yeah, this is my iFixit tool is much sturdier. Nothing happening. And I prefer to use a small screwdriver, like a flat blade screwdriver, because it's so strong it doesn't bend. It's easier to get those rubber feet off. However, you can tear them, as I've shown before. If you can get a fingernail under there, a guitar pick won't be strong enough, nor will a credit card likely be strong enough. But if you get something just like a flat blade like that, you should be able to get into the edge of the seam and get up under it at one edge, whatever, right-handed or left-handed. See if you can get under the foot. It's the tricky part. And then twist the driver a little bit without tearing the rubber foot. And then once you get an edge on it, if this is going to focus. Once you get an edge on it, you should be able to just then peel that up. And sure enough, you have a screw right there. And the good news is that the adhesive came off with the foot this time, which is preferable. And I'll just set that foot right over here. Let go. Oh, I bent the adhesive a little bit there on the side. Probably ruin it if I try and fix that. Stuck it to itself. Or maybe it was installed that way. Sure, let's go with that. It's fine. So we need to take out all 4 of these. Now, I know that the screw is going to be on the inside, right? It's not going to be on this side. It's over here. So if I really wanted to, I could poke holes in these. Screwdriver size holes. And that can be very easy. Just to give you an example, if you have, first of all, once we've exposed one, what would be the driver I would use for that? I would use maybe the one I use for M.2 drives, my JIS driver, which is in here somewhere. JIS driver. Here's the only problem. If we poke holes in these, right? I was going to say you might see them because this stands up, but no, the backplate's going to cover those, isn't it? Oh, it won't cover the top ones. Yeah, so if I poke holes in these, they're going to be visible when it's standing up. So you know what? I'm going to skip that poking holes in them because this unit is just so unique. I don't want to ruin the look. So I'll just be more patient. Try and get something down in the seam until I hit the bottom and then twist and pull. And that should get us the foot. Yeah, that one corner just wants to get caught up there. Just make sure you're under the foot. Otherwise, if you put your screwdriver down in there and you're not all the way down, you're going to tear up the middle of the foot. And then that might tear the foot off, tear it in half. So we are getting all the adhesive here. It's coming off like it should. One last one here. So down first and then twist out, and you should start to see the bottom of the foot. Once you can grab it, get that screwdriver out of there, because all that's going to do is mar up and cause damage. So we want to use it quickly, delicately, and as soon as well, it doesn't have to be quick, but we don't want to linger in there twisting and struggling and scarring up everything. At least I don't. Now, let's see if we get these screws out. This driver is too big, so we need a jeweler's driver, which I have over here. Okay. This big one. Ah, perfect. These feel like really long screws that only have threads on the end of the screw. Let's see if I'm right. Yeah. So there's only threads right there. The rest of this is just shoulder. Now, grab the spudger and see if this lifts off. There does appear to be some kind of clip holding it on here. So we'll get that, just get the seam popped open. Now be very careful because on the lid, as you can see, we have a ribbon cable that's going to the two USB ports that are in the back. Of course, you can disconnect it, but it's going to be a lot of fun putting that back on because it's in a very tight location. So we're going to just very gently set that down. Now, underneath this giant there's a big heat sink here. See this giant heat sink? Then we've got this fan. And then we have what appears to be, well, screws that come in from the other side. This is the threading portion of where your screws are going in from this side. So to take this off, it looks like we have to remove maybe all of these screws here. If we leave these screws in, then this heatsink should come up attached. I'm not sure, but I think these three screws right along the far edge, I think have to come off. We do have a cable right here powering the fan, so you don't want to yank this thing right off. And then underneath this should be our RAM, storage, and Wi-Fi card. Yeah. These are super, super tiny screws. I mean, really, really tiny. So don't lose them. Be very, very careful. Well, hunting wabbits. Is that enough, or do I might have to take these other ones out. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty sure now. Yeah, I think these have to come out as well. It's super tiny. I understand the need for a tight connection to transfer the heat. I just wish there was like a quick release method for something as simple as accessing RAM and storage. But I also know the higher performance storage and RAM are going to need heat sinks themselves. So I'm happy to see they're getting cooled. Let's find out what's under this thing. So that removes all 6. Get you a closer look at this very carefully. We've removed all 6 of those screws. And I believe these screws here, I believe we can leave these on. I think that's going to lift up the heatsink on the NVMe drive under here. If I can get a finger under this and see if it comes up. Yeah, that's exactly as I suspected. And again, we've got this power cable to watch for here. So we'll just set that down. At least that power cable is easy to get to if we want to disconnect it. And with this out, you would connect this much easier. Should you accidentally pull this out, don't panic about getting that back in the socket. It's much easier to access once this fan's been removed. Now, we do have these heat pipes here. Got a giant heat sink here. That's the one we're seeing out the back that we feel the air coming out of. The RAM is covered with these little heat transfer sheets. So if we lift up the sheet, it's with sticky tape stuck to the RAM. If you're going to replace your RAM, I recommend you're very gentle with these little sticky sheets here so that you can put them back on. See, we got some adhesive stuck to the RAM. So the problem is this is normally attached right onto the socket. So if you try and take the RAM out without removing that, it's probably going to be very challenging. Oh, no, they kept it right on the RAM. Look at that. Sometimes they get it right onto the socket. If you look, we've got name brand RAM here. DDR5 with our second module right here. It's matching module, but that's how you get to it. But I would peel these off and put it on the new RAM. If it was me doing the upgrade, couldn't hurt. This is our NVMe drive right here. And the NVMe drive is a standard old Kingston. You'll notice another slot right here. So from here to here, you can share that screw and put a smaller 2230, so 30 millimeter length M.2 drive. I don't know anybody who would use one, but if you wanted to, that's what this extra slot is for, right here, using that screw to hold them both in at the same time. Now, a lot of times we'll find the Wi-Fi cards underneath. You notice I don't see any Wi-Fi antennas on this. That's a good thing. That means they're probably routed to the top. And this screw is much longer than a normal M.2 screw because it's designed to hold 2 M.2s stacked on top of each other, one going this way and a short one going this way. And that one screw holds them both down. Let's see what's under here. Nothing. So how would we upgrade the Wi-Fi? I don't know. It may not be upgradable. I don't want to pull the whole motherboard out. There are screws holding it down in each corner. And if you had to go through that much effort, sorry about the focus. If you have to go through that much effort to change a Wi-Fi, just plug a USB Wi-Fi adapter in and be done with it. That's all I'm saying. It's not worth all the hassle. You shouldn't be opening this any deeper than this. If you are on your own, my friend. Good luck to you. But if you do want to upgrade your NVMe drive, as I mentioned, you would not go this way because you'd have no way to secure it down. This is for a short little 2230. So, for example, We pop that back in. Do I have a 2230 here? I can just kind of demonstrate. They're both storage drives, but the smaller the size of the drive, typically the smaller the capacity of the drive. So I think this is a 2230 M.2 drive. Pretty sure. You know, compared with a normal M.2 drive. And so what I think you do is you would pop this one in here. Let me get this out of the way. Pop this one in here. Then you could put your M.2 there. Then you push down on each one of them. That's not aligning. So what that tells me is this drive is too big. That's too big. I need a smaller one. And they are, when you buy them, they'll say if they're 2240, 2280. Try to avoid dropping it on the ground. Probably won't hurt it, but best to avoid that. What I think it needs is one of the smallest you can get that looks like a... No, that's got a... Is that a Wi-Fi card? I don't know. I think this is storage, but I'm not sure. Got this on my shelf. M.2. I don't know how well this is going to be able to see this. Yeah, I think that's what we want. Put that right there. Now it aligns with the standoff. Then we put our full-size M.2 in there. Then one goes over the other. Oh, it doesn't go over. Look at that. There's a little gap between them. Perfect. So they do not overlap. Side by side. And then we put the same screw in that holds the single one. It holds them both. Because that's half a circle at the end of an M.2 drive. That's pretty clever. There is half of a circle, right? So it makes sense that if you were to put two of them together, you'd have a full circle. And so the screw would equally be down on both, holding them both down. Anyway, that's the concept. That's how that works. But you're going to be very limited with capacity on a drive that small. They do exist. You can shop for M.2 2230 online at any retailer. Newegg, Amazon sells them, and see what your capacity options are. I would just leave this alone. If anything, we could upgrade this Kingston drive to something faster. We already know this is a 1 terabyte drive. We did not speed test it, but we have speed tests of other Kingston drives like this, and they're generally in the 4,000 to 5,000 range in most cases. So out of curiosity, well, it's going to take a while. For me to swap this drive means I then have to clone the operating system off of here with Acronis, and we're going to be here another hour or two. So maybe we make that a future video. If you guys remind me of upgrading the SSD in this, we'll make a video out of it. Future content is what I'm saying. You're going to have to remind me because I got so much going on, I can't remember nothing. I'm not even sure who I am. Let's put it back together and let's speed test that anyway, even though I think I know what it's going to do. This should be all Gen 4, so we should be able to get up to 7,300 megabytes per second on a higher end, higher performance drive, like a 2 terabyte Beijing S880 would probably be a great fit in here. Plus with this great thermal tape and heatsink here. And then to put this back on, there's really nothing to align this to other than these holes in those screws. So it would be nice, first of all, if there was something I could simply unclick rather than unscrew, and that had guides that it would sort of line itself up in order to click in. I think that's coming in the future at some point. but they really want a solid connection onto this heatsink over here. And I guess that's why there's 2 screws on each one. It's to tighten that up as much as possible. So when we go to put this back on, because we don't really have any guides, and that thermal tape is going to keep sticking to the SSD beneath, so if I push down too hard on it, it might kind of get stuck there. And bear in mind, we don't want to yank that cable out by force. So take your time, go slow. If you're hung up on something, don't force it. It should come up pretty easily. Let's hover over those holes. I think that's going to be the way to do it. Hover that over these holes. Just to focus on my hand. And then it should just self-align. So these holes, so when I put this in, this whole piece, I'm focusing on lining up the holes here, and then wherever it sits, it sits. If I did that correctly, I should not have any struggle putting these screws back in. You may need to make some fine adjustments to get everything to align. Do not tighten the screws yet, because we still may need to push forward or even tilt it this way or this way. So I'm going to go to the opposite corner here, and that should help align us. And as the screw goes in, it's going to shift it on its own, as long as the other screws are loose. So I tighten that one. In theory now, everything should go in perfectly. These do feel a little tight when they're going in, as though it's not quite on point, but I don't think you have to be that precise. Yeah, those are, yeah, okay. I think we're good. Don't over tighten these screws. They're going to be very difficult to get out if you strip the heads. But once they come to a stop, just make sure they're firm. It's a good firm stop. Don't take it any further than that. Remember, anytime you need to get into this to do any work, you're going to need to take these out, and you don't want them so tight that you've made it near impossible for you to open it without damaging. So be careful with that, and I'm using a jeweler's screwdriver Phillips number 0 to do this. Now again, being mindful of this cable, we're going to bring this back up and over, and we'll just seat it down. There is a clip on the front and the back, so you may have to exert a little bit of force to hear that click. Now the screws can go back in. And the feet, or sorry, the screws can be tightened here. We'll make sure we get them all started. I like my bigger driver for this. Oh, there was a clip over here I missed. Again, don't over tighten. Firm stop. I'm being a little obsessive compulsive by putting these feet back on in the same order I took them off in the same locations. Although they still, I might have them flipped upside down, but I'm not that OCD. Come on. Come on now. It sure would be nice if Minisforum had a hole that we could just put the driver through. All right. You can see our 2 ports that come off with the lid. Let's plug it in, turn it on, make sure we didn't damage it. I got fingerprints all over the screen. Nothing a microfiber cloth that's dry. Won't just wipe right off, by the way. putting stuff back where it belongs so I can find it next time. Okay, let's get the cables hooked up. Let's see, power. Internet. HDMI. Then we need the keyboard and mouse. Okay, turn this back on. And we'll put the stand back on it. And we're going to switch over now to the HDMI input. Make sure that it's booting. And let's go back to camera 1 for a second. I'm going to grab my utilities flash drive so we can put Crystal Dismark on here and run a quick speed test. And I think that's about all we're going to have time for today. I need to find out how to change this screen. I got to know. These are the kind of problems you have when you add all this RGB stuff. You have problems other people that don't have this wouldn't ever have. Just saying. It's part of the reason I don't like it. It makes it more complex, but that's okay. Whether it's for fun, I just wouldn't want to support that necessarily. I'd hate to get a support call about the touchscreen on the front of the case not working. That would be super annoying for me. Let's go to our flash drive that we plugged in and let's copy off. Let's install VLC because I like VLC. Well, that's installing. Bring up Uncle Carey's Windows 10 Optimizer. This is available for sale. Link in the video notes. You can use it on as many computers as you want, so long as it remains compatible and there are free updates. If updates are available, you just launch the application from the desktop. Don't run it off a flash drive. Run it from the desktop, Windows 10 or Windows 11. Then go to Options, check for updates. It doesn't do it automatically. Tells us no updates are available, and it also sees the status of our registry settings that it's changing, and we can see these changes with the checkboxes need to be done. And if there's a dash, that means it's already optimized, no change is necessary. And then if you want to undo anything, you right-click it, you can change it. All right, so everything is undoable. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you could. Under PC testing software, I will bring over Cinebench, even though we don't have time to run it today, which also means I need hardware info, HWI, and I need Crystal Dismark portable. Okay. I think that's all we need. Finish our VLC install. Cool. And we're going to run the op. And this is going to require a reboot here, but this will only take a second. All of the access denieds are simply turning off indexing for files that are in use. That's normal and to be expected, nothing to worry about. If you have a big drive with a lot of files, this could take a while, but this is a brand new computer, so not a big deal. Finishes up the rest of the changes, and then it needs to reboot for the changes to take effect. And then when we restart, we're going to run Crystal Dismark, and then that's going to wrap it up. So if you have any questions about this model, leave them in the comments below the video once we're done here. And of course, if there's anything you have a question for in the chat while we're live, go ahead and ask it now because time is ticking. Speak now. All right, here we go. We're going to go to, well, first of all, let me get the flash drive out of there. We don't need that anymore. All right, let's go to Crystal Disk Mark 64. Let's do the test. You never know with Kingston drives. Sometimes they're just blah. Other times they're fantastic. I can't tell one Kingston from another, and that's why I don't recommend them. So 4800 is certainly Gen 4, but it's on the lower end of Gen 4. The higher end Gen 4 can hit about 7300 on that sequential read. Most people can't tell the difference other than in benchmarks, but if you like to see those bigger numbers, that Feijing S880 or Western Digital Seagate, those are all good high-performing drives. They're all but Feijing are expensive. The Feijing drives appear to be using all the same chips and controllers. It's just they're an unknown brand name. So to be more competitive, they've got to lower their prices. Otherwise, why would you buy them, right? And that's how you build a brand name. Back in the day when I was buying VCRs, there was a brand called Gold Star or Lucky Gold Star. I don't know if you guys remember that. I remember it as Gold Star, and they were sort of the cheap brand. Go back to camera 1, and I'll put myself in a corner so we can watch both things happening. Today, you would know Lucky Gold Star is LG. So when these brands first come out, in order to entice customers to buy their products, they've got to have an aggressive price point to their competitors. A Sony television is going to be expensive compared to, say, a TCL. And so in the case of TVs, when we were buying Magnavox and Zenith, RCA, Sony got into it, Magnavox, Quasar, where did they go? These were all Japanese made. Well, what happened, well, let me rephrase. They were American made, but the Japanese TVs kind of took over. So the RCAs and such either were made in Japan or they just stopped selling them here, making them here. And then, so the Japanese were selling the majority of TVs in this country. And in South Korea with Samsung and LG started outselling TVs that were made in Japan. They were selling TVs that were as good or better than the Japanese competitors and cheaper. So South Korea now sells the most TVs in America. And then you've got China now entering the market with TCL, who used to build the TVs for Samsung. They're like, why are we building TVs for you? You've shown us how to make them. We'll just do it ourselves. So you've got TCL and Haier, H-A-I-E-R. Both are huge brands in China and are slowly eating up all of the sales the South Korean TVs, LG and Samsung, were getting. So we've gone from America for our TVs to Japan to South Korea. Now it appears China will be the #1 TV seller in America here very soon. So South Korea was on top for a little bit. I still like my Samsung and my LG stuff. I'm still a little feeling like TCL and Haier feel a little Gold Star to me, but look what Gold Star became. So yeah, it's an interesting marketplace in the way the economy works. We're starting to see products coming out of Vietnam, like those Minion routers I reviewed. I believe those came out of Vietnam. So there's a potential competition with China with regards to how Vietnam gets into manufacturing, and if they can lower the cost and produce an equal to or superior product, this is just a never-ending cycle. It works out for us as consumers because they have to work harder to get your money and sell you a better product. In the case of TVs, bigger, brighter, cheaper. All right, so I'm mainly looking at the best this drive can do under the best circumstances. That's the two top numbers, the 4800 and the 3800. That's our sequential read at the high number. Sequential write is the low number off to the right, the 3883. Writes are usually slower than reads. That's normal. 4800 is a bit far from the capacity of, or the capacity of the lanes to move data can move it up to about 7400. We're talking milliseconds in most cases that people, ordinary humans, wouldn't notice, but you can make yourself feel good when you look at the benchmark. Overall, there's really nothing I would need to upgrade to this. The way it's sold with 32 gigs, the 1 terabyte drive, the Windows 11 Pro, the out-of-box experience, not requiring to bypass NRO, allowing me to create an offline account, a local account, without modification, Minisforum did this right. The access to the storage and RAM is a little difficult. Most people won't have those size screwdrivers, and getting those rubber feet off is never a welcome thing. Minisforum, as great as I love their machines, if they could just fix this one problem, you know, make the foot half as big so that the screw is exposed, or if you really want to cover the screw up, make the rubber feet where they click in instead of adhesive, where they have tabs and slots that we can slide them in. This has got to change. Minisforum keeps doing this over and over again, and we keep telling them we don't like it, and they still keep doing it. At the very least, put some holes in the rubber feet so we can get to the screws. Taking those rubber feet off time and again will result in the feet being torn or not sticking back again. Then you're going to have to come up with a solution that's going to be way worse and make it much more difficult the next time you want to get into it. If you leave it alone as is and you don't have to open it, you're probably going to have a good, reliable machine for a long time. The more often you open this, it's very delicate, and there are things that are going to break. I mean, it's just going to happen. Those little clips, when they get older and more brittle, they're likely going to break, as would any plastic clip, depending on your environment. I'm in the desert where it's very dry and low humidity. Plastics don't do well out here. So the screws are fine. I just don't like covering them up with an adhesive rubber foot, where the adhesive loses its sticky quality every time you take the foot off, and you risk tearing the foot every time. Other than that, I mean, I still have to figure out how this screen works, which I don't know yet. And I will do a little research on that. And then maybe we upgrade the drive, maybe in a future video next month or something, where we put in a Beijing S880 2 terabyte, just to see those numbers go up in the 7,000 range. But I've got no issues with the drive that's in here. It's fast, it's quiet, it's powerful. And eventually we're going to get to some AI benchmarking testing, which hasn't really been, there's really no industry standard that I'm aware of, where we can benchmark how many tops trillion operations per second. I think Microsoft wants a minimum for Windows 11, 24. A lot of CPUs are doing like 40. We're going to look back at these numbers and laugh, because they're going to be in the hundreds and thousands going forward. It'll be interesting to watch how this develops, but it's going to develop quickly. Now, I personally don't have any use for it, but it's coming. There's a chicken and an egg thing. Do you develop software for AI for computers that don't have an NPU? Do you develop a computer with an NPU when there's no software to run to take advantage of it? Somebody's got to go first. So we're in the very early stages. This is ready for that future, and it's available today. Again, if you spec out all the parts, the storage, the RAM, the motherboard, the cooler, the case, the power supply, put that all together to build your own, and then compare the price of what you get. Or get this bare bones and put your own RAM and storage into it, but know what you've got to do to get to that. It's not difficult, but it's not easy. It's right in the middle. Most mini PCs, you just pop a lid off and there it is. This one has this cooler, which, you know, look, I love to see a cooler, but I'd love to see a better way to disconnect it. And to get to it, we're back to the rubber feet. I think that's my conclusion on this, and we'll just check the chat room here one time. Nick Caffrey says that's a nice little machine. When I replaced my 2024 desktop, I wonder what will be the replacement. An implant? But I'm done till 2030, he says. Yeah, we'll see. Christopher Horton says 40 to 50 tops trillion operations per second is a lot by today's standard. Carey, they said the screen changed. It does look like it defaulted over to the clock, right? We've seen the clock before. But I'm wondering how that guy got those other screens. I don't know where those came from. And this is layout settings in here, and I can't see where that's working. Layout looks exactly the same. So I don't know what I'm missing here. But this is what I don't like about this kind of stuff, this RGB set. It's just it's a huge time consumer. And I don't get the appeal of this. I mean, I'm looking at my monitor. I'm not looking at the computer. So I don't know. I don't care about the screen. Honestly, I don't care. I won't pay attention to this. But the rest of the machine, I really, really like. So, but because it has a screen now, I got to figure out how I can change that. Normally, a mini PC wouldn't have that, and I wouldn't have this problem. We'd be done, finished, all questions answered. But now we got an RGB screen we don't use. I'm not going to use it. But now that it's there, I want to know how to use it. All right. I think that'll wrap it up for me for today. I think I'm getting a little loopy at this point. It's a great machine. I really like this. You know, the problem with the other Atomman, if there's a problem, is its physical size. I like that this is very small and compact. Also, we're running that latest Meteor Lake Intel processor. This is like one of the first ones. We've only reviewed about 3 of these, I think. It's brand new. And I'll be excited to see what the future holds for this chip. That'll wrap it up, I think, for me for today. Let me say thank you again to all of our members here in the chat, as well as Peter VZ, Jose Lopez, Mark Gaines, of course, Luke Greenia, as well as our friend Buster, of course, and Douglas Burchell, Planet Cryos, Andy Kane, Hector Aviles, and Captain Blinsky, who contributed to the channel either by renewing their memberships or through Super Chat contributions. We thank you for that. And I think there were some Amazon gift cards I just want to shout out a thank you again. And I might be forgetting. Oh, Ron Barnish, thank you. See, I knew I was forgetting somebody. Yeah. And again, a very generous contribution from Mark Gaines, which, you know. Slancha, cheers. Thank you. Thanks to Mara for administrating the channel here. The email for the channel has been put in the chat. It's also in the About section of the YouTube channel. And feel free to email. Mara handles all that, and it's helping free me up with my bandwidth, so you will get a reply. All right. And it's my camera. I'm right here. That's going to wrap it up for me for today. My thanks to the folks at Acronis, RoboForm, and VIP CDK Deals. Along with them and my members, you guys make these videos possible so everyone around the world can watch them for free. We do hope they'll consider joining us here for membership. If we can get enough memberships, we can make this channel so much bigger without selling out to some corporation. I think that's an ideal scenario that we're driving towards. If we can, if the viewers want us to do that, it's in their hands. So for the viewers who are doing that, thank you so, so much for supporting and contributing what we're doing here and keeping us corporation free with regards to controlling our channel. That's it. We're done. I will see you all tomorrow. We're going to finish up the Johnsbow build tomorrow. And Friday, I have a brand new build, sort of, a brand new case I've never shown before from a company called B Gears. And everything that you're seeing has all been purchased. This Minisforum sends us the computers for free to review them. But when it comes to everything else, we're using contributions, membership money to buy the cases, to buy the motherboards, to buy the processors of the parts we want to review, not the parts some corporation tells us we have to do, and how to do it and when to do it, and let them see it. I can't do it live. They need to see it and approve it. And it all has to be done and aired by a certain date or I don't get paid. I don't want to do that. I want to do what we're doing. And I thank all the members for making that possible. The ad revenue from YouTube is some people think, well, isn't my view worth anything? Not anymore. It's worth so little. It's unfortunate. It used to be that the ad revenue from your eyeballs was enough revenue to keep this channel going. Now the revenue from your eyeballs from YouTube advertising is worth 90% less, 80 to 90% less than it was 3 years ago. That's a massive drop in monetization for ads. And here we are. So we're going to keep going, and how far we go and how big we get is in your hands. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all again very, very soon. And until next time, bye for now.